Hi, friends. Frankly, I'm a little scattered. But that's okay. I'm here to share with you. Um, Now, I've already got a journal that is ready, so I'll upload that one as soon as I finish recording this. But I want to see what comes through here. I wanted to, well, I just spoke with Ken. He and I get together about once every 3 or 4 weeks. Used to be every couple of weeks. And he does this intuitively. He knows roughly when I want to hear from him. And so he'll do a healing, a distance healing. And then later that day or the next day, he'll call and do the consult that goes along with it. Meanwhile, between sessions, I take down little notes about the things I want to run by him, things that my intuition has shown me, or hasn't, just things I want to ask him. And here's the thing. Okay, so we've got a body that's 60. That, however far into enlightenment, awakening, I've moved, it hasn't been by these big experiences that people talk about. This is my very first one. Now, I've had big meditational experiences. I've had really deep experiences. But it's just different when you have that energy run through you. It feels more physical somehow. And so, naturally, I was excited about it. It isn't something, I don't pursue the opening of my chakras or the raising of the kundalini or anything like that. I pursue truth, and I'm in love with Source, and come on, you guys know me. I've got I think it's over 1,300 journals out here. So you know where I'm coming from. Things just happen as they will, naturally. There's real wisdom and intelligence in things, and I don't feel like we have to try to run them. As a matter of fact, the mind isn't designed to be able to do that. The mind is just a 3D instrument and implement, and all this other stuff, who and what we are, all of the awakening and everything, goes way beyond that. So, anyhow, there we go. But I did want to share with you what he had to say. He said when he went to look at the body, he said the spine was glowing, almost too much. The strands of the Sushumna, he said, which carries the Kundalini, and the spine itself are in great ignition, healthier and stronger. And I know I've been working on the third strand of DNA, and I asked him about that. I said, did this thing do anything to that? And his answer was, it's igniting all of the strands. And so I left that one alone. I'll ponder it and maybe ask him later, whatever that means. I know potentially we've got 12, but I'm not a believer that people talk about this stuff all the time, and I think they're really out there with it. That's my opinion about all 12 strands being ignited, or 144, and all kinds of, I'm going to ask you to forgive me, crazy talk. That's just from a limited perspective. That's just the way I'm seeing it right now. To me, a lot of the kids are coming in with 3 strands already lit, and that's probably got a lot to do. It's behind why they're having trouble in school and getting diagnosed with various things and so on and so on. I think maybe if in school they just start them out with calculus and then ask them, is there anything in this lesson that you didn't get, and then go back in and fill in what they need to. I think a lot of these kids are way ahead, and we're not meeting them where they are. Meanwhile, back to me. I've just got to say I don't know at this point. I was totally shocked when a few months ago I knew that I had like some of the chakras above the body were lit. I knew they were functioning. I can feel it, for heaven's sake. And he agreed. He said a lot of times when the soul family, the 12D, are funneling energy to me, they send it in through the ninth, and it comes on down, into the crown and then into the rest of the body that way. And so any of you that are feeling like a tickle at the top of the head at any point in time, be alert, be aware. We're not these bodies. We contain the bodies. They don't contain us. But until we shift our beliefs around so we can make room for that, we won't be perceiving what is. We'll just be perceiving what seems to be. Anyhow, I was really surprised when he told me, oh no, he said all 12 of the chakras are open in you. And I haven't gone back to him and asked any more about it, because certain things I just have to meditate on, and not consciously. I just drop them down into heart and let them go. And then when it comes back up into my awareness, either to write a little note down for him or to talk to him about it or what, then it's soup, huh? Meanwhile, so, okay. He called it learn or burn time, this Kundalini stuff. And the most important thing being to supply the body with nutrition and minerals and everything good. He said it's really, really stressful on the physical body when things like this happen. And I've been eating really good lately. He called me tonight just as I was getting ready to backslide. And I had Cheez-Its and some other kind of crackers and some different things like that. I was just going to be lazy, and the phone rings and it's Ken, and it's like, oh my God. Can't hide, just can't hide. And so, all right, so there's that shared. It's really interesting. Now, in the journal that I'm going to upload before this one, I'll talk to you about a written journal that went missing. I've been journaling for 40 plus years. Never have I lost a journal. They are sacred, and I treat them that way. I'm very careful and very aware of them. Sometimes they won't get named until they get recorded, that kind of thing. All right, so on the 28th of last month, I wrote 2 journals in a row, one right after the other. The first one has vanished. I spent hours searching. It's gone, or appears to be. And so, of course, I had to ask Ken about it. I mean, he's highly intuitive and very used to working with his guides. And he said, I'm being told that you may find it. And you guys already know I'm nuts, okay? So this isn't going to be shocking. He said, it was as if you had something on the screen and you wanted to print it out, and it was as if the screen sucked it in deeper. And so he said, as I deepen multi-dimensionally, this writing went multi-dimensional. I mean, that's wacky, even for me, okay? So those of you that do that sort of thing, send up a little prayer, please. A little support for my guides or something to help me with this. And I want to tell you, I am going to be so interested in what's in that journal. But the thing is, folks, they don't come from my head, not one bit. And so the minute I've delivered a sentence, it's gone. It's only here long enough to flow through and get language put to it. And then it's gone. And so there's no way I can ever recreate something like that. Even 5 minutes after I wrote it, I couldn't tell you what was in it. And so that's where that stands right now. And I just found it so fascinating. I love odd stuff. Maybe it's that moon conjunct Uranus, huh? I love strange stuff. And so I wanted to share that little bit with you. All right. The journals that are written are stacking up. So I'm going to share one with you now, which of course I've forgotten. It was written a couple of days after the one that disappeared. This is the first one from 4:30 Tuesday, and the Mayan day was 4 dog. And it's a 12D. So here goes. Hello and heart's greetings, my dear friends. I don't know what to call you these days. You seem as much I to me as I do. So, welcome. This heart is in a bit of a tumult about this and that. I would surely welcome conversation or whatever kind of sharing is available to us. And they said, greetings to you, our beloved sister of light. Yes, we feel it too. We are much closer than ever before, in this life at least. For 3D has nothing over the higher realms for closeness. It's one of the densest realms we like to inhabit and play in. So, do know, dear sister, we also feel for you for the challenges 3D living brings along with it. What would you like to discuss? And I said, gosh, that's a good question. I'd really like to just give it over to you to speak, but maybe not until I get a few things off my chest, such as that lightning electrical kundalini thing that happened in the night. Wow, that was neat. Now wait a minute. So this was written 4:30. So the kundalini thing happened the night of 4/29, which is the day after the missing journal. Isn't that interesting? Okay, so I said to them, what can you or will you share with me about it? And their answer, first, that we were there with you. We see that you noted no particular placement of your beloved crystals that night. We also note your open, heartful embrace, as it were, of all of them, and your special stone before going to sleep. So, we point out to you that you knew what was ahead, and that no externals were involved in it. I'll step out and share with you here. I have 3 favorite crystals. Let me see. I'm not seeing myself here. Okay. Let me see if I can get these things up in front of the lens, and I'll put autofocus on. Maybe that'll help. Now here's one of them. These are all double terminated, and they're clear but not quite. And what you see there is a magnet that I've placed on it to empower it so that it's not just electrical but electromagnetic. Now this is a small one, much like that one, somewhat clearer, again double terminated, meaning it's got a point at both ends. And I haven't studied crystals, and I don't use them for anything, so I can't tell you the distinction. I don't call any of these a wand or anything like that. I notice that's a word some people use, and I'm confident that there's a difference between, for instance, this crystal. Now, this may be the clearest one, and it has a point at one end, but at the other end it has a series of them, and I really don't know that the camera is going to be able to do anything with that. Let's see. Oh, Teresa. A little bit. Okay, so there's kind of a nest of points at the other end. And so no doubt it'll influence the way the energy flows in them. These are my 3 pals. I have them around at all times, whether in my pockets. A lot of times I'll carry the big one in my waistband. Let me turn off that autofocus thing. And I just, they're my friends, all right? And it's get out of your head with it. It's nothing like an earthly friendship. There's just love. And when I look at it, I find my identity in the crystals, as if I am that in some way. And so there you go. So I have these, and then some of you have seen the great big one that a lot of times, well, let me go fishing amongst the covers here and turn it up. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I have a bigger one. And this one is really nice. And what you see on the bottom here is, I think that might be a hard drive magnet. Yeah, that's a hard drive magnet. I worked intuitively to get a match between the crystals and the magnets that I put with them. And so I have this one. And then finally, is it Andre Moritz? This is a special stone. It's just a river stone. It doesn't look like anything special, but my friends, go into your heart and feel. All right? Make a connection with it and just feel. And see if you don't sense that it has a very special charge about it. Okay, these are our friends of nature. This is Mother Earth. And your body is Mother Earth. I like to think of people as if we are the bloodstream, the mobile, moving, flowing bloodstream of the planet. See, you and I, we're not these bodies, but these bodies are Mother Earth. There's nothing in the bodies or in any of our creation here that isn't of the earth. And so it's just a redefining, a looking at things in different ways. But I just love to kind of like bathe in these energies. Hey, I'm not kidding. I have an amethyst, small amethyst cluster, and a nice big clear quartz point. These are Arkansas crystals, by the way. I dug them up myself, that I put in the tub with me. I'm not kidding. I mean, I'm not kidding. I'm crystal crazy. That's just how it is. And I have no explanation. Very little, I don't need any understanding. I mean, if you love something, you love it. Do you have to know why? Is there such a thing as a why for this? I don't think so. All right, now let me get back to this journal. So the thing is, some nights, most nights, I'll have one of these points in each hand. And a lot of times that's all I'll have. But then again, you might find where on the pillow above my head, I've set this one. And, I might have another one at my throat and maybe the big one at the base of my spine or something like that. So what the 12Ds are saying here is there wasn't any of that on this night. I had the 2 in my hands, and there was such a warm feeling in my heart that before I laid down, you see, sometimes these get lost in the covers or down in the couch or something. And it'll be a few days, or when I do the laundry, before I'll find them. And so it was a really good feeling. I had found every one of them, and I had them all gathered together, and I just kind of wrapped my arms around the perimeter of them and just loved. And just loved, and gratitude, and just good feelings. And then I lay down and well, I didn't quite make it to sleep. It was probably within an hour of laying down that the Kundalini thing started. So, all of that just to translate what they're meaning in this paragraph. Okay, so they said, and that no externals were involved in it. While that may seem a small thing, a mere detail, it wasn't. All holds meaning or import of one sort or another. Everything is ever perfect. We just draw your attention to some details. Now, as to what it meant and means for you and your body there, that is quite nice. We are sure you feel the fuller connection from base to crown now. You feel more of a presence of a something there where the crown chakra is placed. There has been a clearing, an initial clearing of the channels of your spine. You are now even more connected to who you are, to who I am, to all that is. Much debris had to first be cleared away for you and with you so that the electrical energy would do no harm. That was done. You cooperated. All is well. Now, that's interesting. That's something else that Ken said that I didn't mention. He said a lot of, candida, fungi, and debris like that was being purged now, and that I could expect it to be kind of challenging for a while, and to be aware of that and supportive of the body and what it's going through. Okay, so I said, okay, and thanks. I don't note at this point what I might call a higher consciousness effect from the experience. I do note the somewhat different feeling in the body, mostly at the crown, but now at the throat chakra as well. And they said, yes. Is there a question there? And I said, well, maybe not. I don't know. I suppose that in the various spiritual literature and discussion rampant in our day, that one builds expectations, even if just subtle ones, and that with a this comes a that. So I guess I'm looking at that, all the while knowing that expectations are just rot. So I'll say no question, just a comment. And they said, very well then, yes, there is increased awareness that arises, that arrives as part of such an experience, but nothing that mind can note to any depth. This is heart work and heart knowledge and experience. So, if you stay out of mind with it, you'll discover the more that it brings. And I said, thank you so much. Have you anything more to say of it before I shift the subject and move on? No, we don't, dear one. Like most things, the importance in them, the beauty they bring, is meant to be uncovered and discovered by you. Being told ahead of time most often simply gets in the way, building expectations which mind has a hard time not doing. So, we'll leave it in your most capable heart hands. I said, very good. Then I want to ask you about a document, a journal, that I seem to have lost. It's very strange. It disappeared as near as I can tell from my computer, and this before it was saved. I didn't do anything different in my journal writing. Often the title will come when the journal is written, but often too it will not. For those, I let them sit until, most often I record them, at which time the title will come. So this time, like any other, I wrote 2 journals on the 28th, each one dated and timed on the first line. Yet, when I went to record them, only the second one remained. After spending some hours doing as extensive a search as I know how, I was unable to uncover what had happened. Is there anything you can tell me about this whole thing? And they said, in this instance and at this time, we'll say no. However, we will bring this up at a later time when certain things will have happened to make it come clearer. Well, okay, I'm happy with whatever you offer, as you know. When all that matters is truth, well, relations are so much nicer as anything can be equally welcomed. I will tell you, though, just to get it on the record here, that I even wondered if I'd written it in a parallel dimension or something. It's rather a shock. It's the first journal I've lost. You know how careful I am with them, how much I respect their flow. So it's just strange. I even remember, if I'm correct, it being 6 pages long. It was written just moments before the second one arrived in my awareness. So they were both done at so close to the same time. Yet even a date search of all and everything on the whole computer didn't turn it up. Very strange, but oh well. On to another topic. I want to ask a few things about ley lines, something we haven't discussed before. In working with my crystal pendulum, I was asking some questions about the house, the property, the location. I feel so blessed, so enfolded in light, so somehow protected here. I was inquiring into that when I mentioned ley lines. The answer I got puzzled me, so I quit the line of inquiry, wanting to bring it to you and maybe Ken as well before going on. Well, I'd like to trust in the dowsing 100%, maybe I don't. At any rate, it indicated that there were multiple lines crossing this property. 7, in fact, with 2 crossing right through the house. Now, I didn't think that these lines were so populous, so close together. After all, this is only 8 acres, or 40 if you look at the family plot and add my brothers in. So, what say you, my friends? What guidance or info can you provide? Oh, this one is easy, Teresa Ann. Yes, there are 7 ley lines over the whole property, the 40 acres, and yes, there are 2 that run through your house. The major ley lines are those that you find on most maps, and do consider as well, they can shift. They don't remain static for endless ages, they move around. But beyond the major ones, there are many smaller ones. It's much like the chi flow in the human body, both major and minor chakras and meridians. So, as you see, all is well, and you can go on to trust your dowsing a bit more. What will it hurt to do so? It's just that mind questions it, after all. Mind is recreating some of what it considers its goofs of the past. Yes, we like that word. It has a nice sound. So mind, via fear, is worried about being misled. Yet, mind does not have the refuge of heart, the deep assurance that is there. So, how could it know what that is like? And I said, gosh. And okay, that's rather amazing, but the way you lay it out, it makes perfect sense, even to mine. So, is it beneficial, this being in a house where two lines are? And they say, well, what do you mean by beneficial? We'd have to ask. It provides a nurturing energy field for the body, for your body. It won't be so nurturing to some others, though. It generates more energy than their body wiring, shall we say, can yet handle. So for you, yes, it's good. Let's move on. I said, okay, sounds good. Actually, that about covers any questions I had or wrote down. The only others I think I'll let be answered in your flow. They mostly surround this recent upgrading of this body's energy channels and DNA and how that impacts us. How that better enables me to deliver light's flow. I'm most interested in that, but have no particular questions, so please take over and just say what you will. Gladly, they said. Again, we have been quietly yet delightedly looking forward to this, our next discussion. The upgrades you and humanity have gone through since our last conversation are many and varied. Not all bodies are upgraded in the same ways, of course. Not everyone is ready for the same intensity. So, to each one as their free will demonstrates their readiness. Mankind is indeed changing. There are not yet many who, like you, are alert and observing, who are aware of and already leaving. No, who are aware of already leaving 3D behind. Okay, there are not many yet who are aware of already leaving 3D behind. That's because many will continue on inhabiting what they think is only 3D. They are not yet at all open to their own greatness, and forcing it on them prematurely would be a great disservice, would do them violence. So, of course, we don't. More and more are awakening, however. This to us has been such a pleasant surprise, for the time of full awakening hasn't dawned yet. We did not expect to see so many among you who are able to watch and witness with us what's going on. This is both our delight, but also hugely beneficial for mankind, since it will increase the speed at which the whole thing transpires. By having those many as ready observers, as cooperative witnesses and participants, this multiplies our light and presence there. This enables us to introduce more advanced steps into the process of some ahead of time, ahead of the plan which we had laid out. One works with probabilities even at these other levels. In a free will universe, it is just not possible to account for every variable very far ahead of time. Yes, we see that you have questions around time, so we will spend some time here and play with you with your questions. We note how thoroughly you have rejected mankind's beliefs and knowledge concerning time, and we approve. It's one way of disconnecting from mind. In this case, you are correct that time and mind, well, it's not a mind invention precisely, but almost. So yes, there is time, and there is not. There is time travel. You know your government has been working with this technology for many years now. You know moving in time is possible, but not yet what that means. It is not reliable. It has been shared by the lawyer who did much time travel as a youth. Oh dear, I wrote in, you can fill in his name later. I'll get that for you before I publish this. Each time he would be sent to the same occurrence in history, the same time, things would be somewhat different. Sometimes slightly, sometimes more. So it is the case that there is no written record that can report the fullness of truth, the reality of even a single happening. This is largely because you are still so mind-driven, so mind-based, yet that's not all. For, of course, other civilizations have developed the mind, the same lower dimensional mind, to such heights as to be able to maneuver at will through time-space. It's a whole dimensional shift that is happening here, and it must, if you're to transcend the lower mind. While the lower mind is quite a wonder, worthy of so much more than it's being used for here on 3D Earth, yet it's not the instrument through which the best view of reality can be enjoyed. That takes entering far more deeply into being, into capital H heart, as you term it. Only from there can the deeper, the transcendent realities be observed or pursued. Dear one, please relax. Your mind is too active for the best communication. Do you not witness it hovering there, critically viewing every word we bring through? Do let that go. Sink more deeply into yourself. Yes, very good. To continue then. Time is, from the heart's perspective, rather like a gossamer net, finely woven lines of such beautiful thought substance comprising the web of it. There are endless intersections, connections to be made, both within each being, each individual, if you will, and between all of life. Free will is the main component that makes things be this way. Quite naturally, things are vastly different in those universes where free will isn't the way. What is focused on and developed there is very different from what comes of an experience in free will time. The divergence you in particular would and do find very delightful, for you love the flexible perspective you talk so much about. Meanwhile, we are here now, so let us stay with your current universe or multiverse as we move on. What is time? Yes, the SacredSarrah video on time as a measure of change is quite wonderful. Do link it to our current talk, but it's more, much more. Yet to perceive that requires that you let go of so much that many now hold dear, starting, yes, with attachment to mind. Mind in today's 3D world has become an addiction. It has been cultivated to be so by those who mine and farm you for your energies, for the raw materials they require for themselves. Quite naturally, since this is a way of one set of beings using or dominating another set of beings, those doing this occupy the lower dimensions. Such behavior isn't sufficiently transcendent to reach the higher planes. There are great limits in which such groups of beings exist and abide. Though these limits are largely self-set, these beings are unaware of the bulk of that, much like mankind being unaware of being or acting the part of their own jailer. It's an amazing thing when seen from just the merest bit above in frequency. Yeah, that's a good thing. It indicates just how frail, how flimsy is the ceiling, how close the potential to exceed those boundaries. In a free will universe, all boundaries are self-set. There's a thought that will take you far. Of course, one must begin that thought trek within heart and not mind, for mind has boundaries heart knows not. Heart is unfettered. It can be trusted. It needs no boundaries. Mind is clearly another thing, as any can see by looking around planet Earth. So, clearly, the way to be boundless, to be totally free, is to abandon mind's structures and strictures, not in that order, and ascend to the heights, to the depths, out into the whole, the all that is, that you are, that each one is. That, like the get out of jail card or key within each breast pocket, does little practical good for the being who remains unaware of their presence right within reach. To the many who have been taught, who are schooled to await some sort of change or rescue to come to them from without, we say, go within. While you're welcome to wait like that, you can also choose to remember just how very long you've been doing that. Back over the years, the embodiments you've experienced thus far. No, change is a self-initiated thing. It's critical that that womankind has been taught anything but an accurate definition of self, however. That, while being a great handicap, is no real barrier to the divinity you each are. It will take action on your part, and not simple action like mind would conjure up, but action from and on a whole new and interior level or dimension of being. No one will be forced into anything. Be still with that for a few moments. We'll say it again. No one will be forced into anything. Now, do recall what we've been saying about who and what you truly are. The outer persona, the one that seems to get into the pinches, the forced situations, is that really you? Is that who you truly are? All hinges on each one's answer to that. As you have rightly said, and as we have said through you, the shift in identity must go first, must come first. Else the other shifting that's required, that's so deeply desired by so many, simply cannot take place. When you step out as the false identity, you destroy your chances of transcendence right from the start, but only as long as you persist in that particular way. That's the awesome beauty of free will. At any point, any moment, one can change, one can shift. One and all are quite free in this way. Thus, though what on the surface looks very much like being forced into this, that, and the other, be cautious about believing mind's assessment of that. Go deeper within. Do it first, not last, and your joy will be fulfilled the sooner. So yes, there is a great letting go that the transcendent ones must start with to transcend. There are certain paths out of the maze that are quicker than others, and some that never lead anywhere but out into the endless exploration of the same level. Again, with you we affirm that this too is fine. There is simply nothing wrong with anything at all. Yes, minds have a great deal to argue with in that. We will leave them to it, not choosing to place our sacred energy into such matrices. There is no need. We too have free choice. We choose the higher way, which is not to engage certain levels of energy. It is not what is said so much as it is the vibration of that. Those in heart soon come to know whereof we speak. All is available to all at all times. What seems to mind to be obstructions and restrictions are but the very natural consequences of certain choices. You are not being forced from outside, not in any way. You are and always have been the arbiters of your own fate, no matter what seems to be. To one and all we say, we caution, before you take off following a line of thought, feel it out. Find out if it comes from head or heart. Another way to say that is check the vibration, the frequency of the energy first. There is entirely too much of trusting mind going on for fast transcendence to occur for the masses. The masses, as such, will never transcend. It is an individual set of choices that results in freedom, not a mass movement of minds. Oh, dear one, we see that the body's pain is wearying you, distracting you from our connection. So we'll say adieu for now. Don't be gone so long going forward. We have much more to impart. This is but the beginning salvo, the very start of our heart's offering to you and man and womankind. And so I said, Namaste, my dear ones. I can hardly call you by any word anymore. Friends seems too distant and unable to contain what this is. At any rate, you are my heart. Yes, the back hurts quite a lot, so thanks for your gentle, loving care for that. Namaste. Okay, I see I've really gone on long here, but there was a lot to share. See you again soon.